Welcome everybody to Inter Miami season preview. Inter Miami coming off with a very disappointing regular season and hence firing Phil Neville in the middle of the season. I think he was fired late May, early June, and then eventually bringing in Tata Martino, and then everything history speaks for itself right there with Messi, Busquets, Alba, the legends of the soccer around the globe coming in to Inter Miami. Then they went on the run in the League's Cup final, and they won the League's Cup final, and then they made this run, and this is before Messi. They made this run to the U.S. Open Cup semifinals, and then eventually making their way towards the finals, upsetting, and then coming back against FC Cincinnati before ultimately losing the U.S. Open Cup final. Hence, not having Messi on the turf, not turf, on the ground, on playing field against Houston Dynamo, and just a disappointing ending. It would have been two trophies, but Martino making some bad decisions, and hence our season really took a turn for the worse after the Messi injury, which we ended up missing the MLS playoffs. Um, they were one of the hottest teams last season, and this season they're looking to right this wrong as they will have to make this MLS playoffs this season, and then ultimately making their run towards the MLS Cup because this is an MLS Cup type roster. I think they could probably do it under the right leadership, and if this works out, we have another trophy in our hands. I mean, we have a pretty good coach, but understandably frustrating preseason, as I talked about last week. And now we're talking about the regular season that's going to come up, which every game matters now. We're not going to dwell on the preseason anymore. That is a distant memory. And now we're looking for the bigger picture this season. So, as of right now, and I quote, as of right now, because for what I'm gathering right now, the roster is not 100% official yet, but we can make a pretty good idea. So, goalkeeper, obviously we got Drake Callender, who's going to be our goalkeeper. We got DeAndre Yedlin, which that's a question up in the air with DeAndre Yedlin because in my personal opinion, there could be a chance we might see him go because Inter Miami is looking to buy a player from Houston Dynamo, Franco Escobar, who has a same type of position in the midfield that DeAndre Yedlin has. They're looking to buy him, even though there's some problems with the roster, salary cap, and stuff like that. As we're not going to talk much about that. Um, he is he wants to be teammates with Messi, but could they do it? I have no idea. There's already some problems with the salary cap, already some roster things that were kinda in like a you know what I mean? So we'll see what happens here. In my opinion, I personally think it would be better off doing a little bit of a trade. Like you could do a little trade between Yedlin and Escobar. It's the same position, but who's an upgrade? They're saying Escobar could be a good upgrade, and I think he'll be a great teammate with Messi, him coming by. So that's what's going on with that as of right now. We got Busquets, who is still hurt. I'm not sure when he's coming back. Hopefully, it's a speedy recovery. Um, Avalis, I think he is. I don't know what's going on with him. I think somebody said he was gone or something, but I don't think so. G Mota sticking around. Capana resigned recently. Luis Suarez, our new our newest addition to this into Miami squad, and then of course you got Lionel Messi right here. You got Farias, who is unfortunately gone for this season due to ACL tear suffered against El Salvador. Corentin Jean, who is who is the forward. Ryan Saylor, who I'm sorry, I don't know. Robert Taylor, who choked in the shootout. but Robert Taylor's still a really, really good goal scorer, and he can play forward and midfield. So absolutely. Frey with who's a defender. We got Jordi Alba still around. Then you still got Robbie Robinson, who is still the only OG player of Inter Miami we have left because Oyola is gone. We got Diego Gomez, who is still he's still learning Inter Miami, and I think he's going to be a good aggressive player in the future as a midfield. Then you got Nicolas Ferrer, who is a defender. Then you got Julian Gressel from LAFC. Was LAFC? I forgot where he was, but Gressel off the midfield, still part of our team. Christoph, Sergei Christoph, number 27 defender. Ascona from the midfield. CJ Dos Santos, who's another goalkeeper. Then Kramashi, he will return eventually after an injury suffered. He will return this season. Just unfortunate that he has suffered at the preseason against FC Dallas. Then you got Noah Allen, who is a defender. Then you got Franco Negri, Nedry as a defender. David Ruiz, who's a really good midfielder and a good scorer. Lawson Sunderland, who has scored a goal, I believe. Santiago Morales. And then Cole Jensen, who is still under the Cami. So that's the roster here. As of right now, it's not an official roster. And then I noticed I didn't say Gregory. So because of what happened with Fandango, who is a U22 type player in Argentina, as Inter Miami was going to pay $8 million for this guy, even though there's a rule where you have to spend roughly $5 million on house. I don't know. It's a tricky rule. It's a tricky situation Inter Miami's gotten themselves into. And they're just continuing to be aggressive money spenders in this offseason. And that's great. To tell you the truth, it is great. But there is certain rules where you have to comply. And if you don't follow those rules, you will get yourself even more trouble than what you did years ago. So, I don't know. So about this front office, I like what they're doing. I like how they're being aggressive. But if you're over aggressive, that worries me. Because everything what we do now and then from that point on matters. All right. Now that that's sorted out, the roster situation. We do have breaking news, which is really silly. I don't like this at all, to be honest. It kind of takes away the feel of DRV PNK Stadium. So before it was DRV PNK Stadium, it used to be called Lockhart Stadium, and then became DRV PNK Stadium. As of this morning, they changed the name to Chase Stadium. Yes, I'm not kidding you. Chase Stadium at DRV PNK Stadium, formerly known. I just don't see the reason why you would change it. I guess it's a paid partnership, so they're willing to change the name because of it. But still, I don't know. I like DRV PNK Stadium better. It fits the name, DRV PNK Stadium. Now, I don't want to complain too much about it because I know next season we're moving into the new stadium down to Miami anyway. But still. And then my question with that, and this is just unrelated topic, it's just some bogus rambling that I normally do. What's going to happen with that stadium when we do move out to Miami Freedom Park? That's the name of the stadium that's going to be opened up next season. But still, I'd like to know. Anyway. So with this season preview, we talked about the roster, and I just said they're looking to make it to the MLS playoffs. And then even more so, so last season I did talk about winning the League's Cup final, and there's actually a reward, not just winning the cup itself, but you have an opportunity to clinch CONCACAF tournament. And that's one of those tournaments that we're going to be doing in March. Where and who? No clue. But this is why I'm going to bring this up right now, because the scheduling is so congested from the preseason, the Leagues Cup, U.S. Open Cup. It is so congested with the with the scheduling and it adds up to CONCACAF tournament in March potentially, and they do the first leg, second leg type rules, so more traveling and stuff like that. It brings a wear and tear to the person's mental health and physically in the players. They just gone through a really ridiculous global season tour, and then you have more traveling with this, and they go to West Coast and they come back, and then where are they going to go? Where are they going to go? So that's another thing with the CONCACAF. They're looking to. They're going. By all means, they are still going to put in the effort to win this CONCACAF tournament. Another MLS team to do so, and our fan favorites right here. Well, I shouldn't say fan favorite because I think the whole league kind of hates us right now, but we're used to that kind of hate. We're used to it anyway. With other leagues, we're just kind of used to it anyway. And then you got U.S. Open Cup, and this is some bogus situation what happened with the U.S. Open Cup. Apparently, the U.S. Open Cup has approved the MLS will not be as involved as much. They're going to put in 8 teams in the MLS, not MLS, 8 teams from the MLS to participate in the U.S. Open Cup. Why? Are you joking? Now, I understand there might be some schedule congestion and conflicts. Maybe I can understand. But you're voluntarily not giving other teams a chance to win this trophy. I think it's stupid. Inter Miami wants to win that trophy. They could have done that if people were as healthy as they were, but it wasn't meant to be. We were close to winning the U.S. Open Cup, but we didn't. And then you have another, and this is where I'm going to bring up this next tournament. Up in July, they're bringing back. There we go. Up in July, they're bringing back the Leagues Cup tournament. Inter Miami is looking to be back-to-back. Let's see what happens. That was some tournament. Inter Miami's won every game in that tournament, including the final, which was a very stressful PK shootout against Nashville. I know you all remember it because I remember it. I was whining, I was complaining, I was ready to just like... Anyway, now onto the schedule after all that talk. All right, so Tomorrow's our first game of the season in the MLS regular season, and it's going to be at home between Inter Miami going up against Real Salt Lake. Then after Real Salt Lake, they are going to go out west to Carson, which is the home of LA Galaxy. That was going to be our first ever home opponent years ago before everything went down the crap. But we go to LA to play against the Galaxy. Then we come back home a week after to play against our biggest rival in the MLS, Orlando City. That's a 4:30 kickoff, and that's the Battle of Florida Derby at Dry Pink Stadium. And I don't care; it's going to be Dry Pink Stadium in my heart. And then after that, there is a first leg game between to be determined and Inter Miami. Who knows where Inter Miami is going to go because they automatically advance to the round of 16 because of the fact that they won the Leagues Cup final and stuff like that. So that's the first leg. That's March 7th. That's a Thursday. Then they go back and play against CF Montreal, where we play against our former player Joseph Martinez. Then a few days later, March 13th. It's a second leg game in the round of 16. Who knows who they're going to play then? And my cat's just entered. Then we go up to D.C. to play against D.C. United. That is a Saturday 2 o'clock kickoff. That's pretty interesting. Then they go up. Then they come back to the Northeast to play against the Red Bulls at the Red Bull Arena. That's a 2 o'clock kickoff. Will I go? I'm not sure. Then they go back to play against NYCFC. And that concludes March. April, Inter Miami plays Colorado Rapids. And then after that, a week later, we go to Kansas City to play at Arrowhead. So Kansas City has announced that they are going to have the game at Arrowhead Stadium to capitalize the fact that we have Messi. So this is kind of a marketing opportunity, but But that's where they're going to end up playing, Arrowhead Stadium. Now, Arrowhead Stadium is not their official home stadium. That would be the Kansas City Chiefs, and yeah, of course they win the Super Bowl. But either way, then we go back 420. You know, they play against our expansion twin, our Leagues Cup final opponent, Nashville. Then a week later, we go to New England to play the Revolution. That's April. That's only 4 games. Then in the month of May, there's 6 games, and a couple of them actually are midweek games. So May 4th, we go play against the Red Bulls. May the 4th be with you. Then we go up to Canada to play against CF Montreal. Then we go back to Florida, not to Miami, but to play against Orlando City in... They changed the stadium name. I don't know if it's called Explorer. No, they call it Inter and Co Stadium. Inter. Inter is our name, and they stole it. Where's the outrage in that? Anyway, our next game is against Orlando. Then go back down south to play against DC. Then we go to British Columbia to play against Vancouver Whitecaps. Our first ever meeting against each other. Inter Miami goes a far travel out west to play against Vancouver. And this is like the first time we had that kind of Pacific Northwest game since, 2022? But yeah, then we go back home and play against Atlanta. That's a midweek game. So as travel is not crazy enough, you have a midweek game back at Miami to play against Atlanta after literally going the other side of the country or even the other side of the continent to play them. And then it makes matters even worse. Not too much rest there because after May 29th, so Vancouver is May 25th, then May 29th, which is literally 4 days, is the Atlanta game. And then 3 days later is June 1st to play against St. Louis. I think it's St. Louis City. Yeah, St. Louis City. But this is going to be at Miami this time as we're looking back to, I think, Vasila? I forgot. I think Indiana Vasilev is still part of that team, right? I forgot. He was such a talented player. Then we go to Philadelphia 2 weeks because I think there is a break in between, international break, between the Union and Inter Miami up at Subaru Park. I think that's still the name. Then, midweek game, we welcome in the defending champs, Columbus Crew. Then, not too far travel up is Nashville. That stadium where we won it all in the Leagues Cup final. And then July comes, we go up to Charlotte to play against Charlotte FC. Then we go up, and that's a midweek game, by the way. Then we go up to Cincinnati, and they're looking to settle score. So we play them. So no 4th of July this time. Then we go to Canada. No, actually, no. We go back to Miami to play against Toronto. And then the last game before the Leagues Cup, we play against Chicago. And for some strange reason, Inter Miami struggles to play against Chicago. It is unacceptable performances against Chicago Fire. Hopefully they figure that out. Then by this point, it is a Leagues Cup. So in Leagues Cup, Inter Miami's already in the pool between two Liga MX team. One of them is Tigres, and I forgot the other one. I might have forgot the other one. I do apologize. But we don't not going to speak much of it as of right now. All right. Now, so after the Leagues Cup, we immediately go back to the regular season and maybe the U.S. Open Cup, depending on who's in that, whatever. We play against Cincinnati, which is kind of convenient, the fact that we have Cincinnati really after the Leagues Cup. So we'll see what happens. Then we go up to Chicago, where it's pretty much an automatic L. We go up to Chicago, Illinois, to play them a week after Cincinnati. Then in the month of September, we go back to Miami to play against the Union. That's the. I think we have a couple weeks off, right? Yeah, we have a bye week. But that's at Chase Stadium, or I'm still going to call it Charlotte Bank Stadium. Then after that, it's a midweek game where no clue that Messi's even going to play, but it's because it's turf during the football season. We got Atlanta United. That's a midweek game. And then we go up to New York to play against New York City FC. Go back home to play against Charlotte. And then we go to October. And this is after the baseball season ends. We go back up to Columbus to play against a division MLS champs. Then we go up to Toronto. That's our last road game of the season before finally finishing off. And then there's an international break there, or we have a bye week, which is pretty weird to say. But after the break, we have one last game of the regular season between Inter Miami and the New England Revolution. That's a lot of games, especially when we already went through a really ridiculous global season tour. Who knows if Inter Miami is even going to be in the U.S. Open Cup? I don't know. I would love to see Inter Miami going up against Miami FC again on the Miami Classico. But in terms of my prediction, I mean, I don't know. My prediction is probably relatively going to be the same. I believe at this point they've figured it out where they stand underneath this Tata Martino leadership, because I feel like if Tata Martino does not have the formation correct and literally didn't fulfill any expectations that Inter Miami has this season, I would say fire him. I would say fire Tata, because clearly at that point he doesn't know how to contain a championship type roster. I mean, he is literally blowing the opportunity with having Messi, Busquets, Alba, and some other great players, and even Calendar. One trophy is not enough. We need another trophy, and I think if they get this right, if they can do this and remain steady throughout the entire season, and not have our players hurt, because we already have a couple of players hurt already. You know, we lost Farias for a year. We lost Camacho for a couple of months. Who knows if Busquets can even come back before March or after March. I don't know. This was a big gamble, did not pay off. And then I already expressed that situation in my last Inter Miami video. So go check that out right now. But I'm going to say we make the playoffs. I think we're just going to edge in on making the playoffs. I would be very, very surprised if we had a terrible... Actually, I shouldn't be that surprised, but given the way how every game matters from now in a regular season, going into November, they need to figure this out, and I think they can do it. I think they can do it, and if they can do it, we go to the playoffs, and maybe they can go on that run to the MLS Cup, because that's the expectation. That is literally the expectation. If they can pull this off, they might just do it. So, yeah, with that being said, I would like to thank you guys for watching this video. And, yeah, folks, that's going to do it for this one. If you have enjoyed this video, and both of my cats are in the room now, hit the like button, subscribe for content, because Miami TVG guys are back. And when he does, he'll be right there with your favorite entertainment you deserve. This is Miami TVG. Signing out, folks. Adios.